Hi students, welcome to GATE Symposium. This is going to be the first video of a series of 7 videos that are designed to help you along the way. We're embarking upon a project-based learning experience. It is an experience. It's going to take about 10 weeks for you to complete from beginning to end. We're really excited to get started, and it's called project-based learning because you're going to be learning amazing skills and you're going to be building your knowledge and thinking critically throughout this entire time. So that's why it's called project-based learning, since you're learning while you're doing a project. You're going to be working in groups of 1 to 3 people. You are going to have a primary mentor, which is probably in the class that you're in right now, and you also have a student handbook. These are the tools that you need to have a successful experience here. So let's get started. I'm going to be mapping out what you're going to be doing for this project. I know some of you guys have already done GATE Symposium in the past, which is awesome. For many of you, it's your 3rd year in a row doing it, which is even more awesome. But there's a lot of students, especially our 6th graders, who are doing it for the very first time. So if you want to learn more about GATE Symposium, or maybe you want to show your parents what you're really working on, then you can go ahead and watch the video from last year. We have video footage from the actual event last year, which was a different theme, but still the same GATE Symposium. So go ahead and watch the video, which is linked below. All right, let's get started. This year, our theme is all about relevant resolutions. So in order to get started on your theme, or to get started on the project, you have to have a good understanding of what relevant resolutions are. In the next video and in the videos that follow that, I'm going to go over every single step in detail. Today, I'm just going to go over an overview. So if you're confused or you're thinking that I'm being too general or vague, don't worry. This is kind of like the skeleton of what you're going to be doing, and then in the next following videos, and by reading the directions and getting help from your mentor, you'll have a better understanding of what to do for every step of the way. So the first thing you want to do to get started with your Relevant Resolutions GATE Symposium project is come up with a topic. You're not going to be able to come up with a topic like on the first day or in the first minute. It might take you a couple of days. It might even take you a whole week. You want to make sure that you and your entire group agree on the topic, because you have to care about it enough to work on it for 10 weeks, right? So make sure that you choose your topic very wisely. So you're going to be picking a topic. In order to come up with a topic, you need to do some initial research, right? So maybe you want to look up on different newspaper sites, you want to look up current events and see what's going on around the world today. What is something that I care about? What's a problem I see that's happening that I want to discuss, that I want to explore, and possibly have a resolution to fixing? So you're going to research, and then you're going to have your topic. So maybe your topic is food, or maybe it's global warming, or maybe it is net neutrality, which I know a lot of students are really interested in talking about these days, right? So maybe there's a topic that really interests you, or maybe it's immigration. So that is going to be your topic that you're just going to be researching and learning more about, all right? Obviously, this is a result of many hours of thinking, of conversing with your group members, and agreeing to a topic together. Now, within the topic, you're going to come up with a conflict within the topic. You have to know what are the problems within global warming, within the global warming debate, or within policymaking, or what is a conflict within immigration. All right? So as you come up with your conflict, you're going to start with your scholarly research. So this is the very first step of the process. Scholarly research is research that scholars do. That's why it's called scholarly. This is the type of research that you will be doing in high school and in college, so you're getting a head start now. The scholarly research that you will be conducting needs to be found from sources that are credible, reliable, accurate, and not biased. That's called CRAB. And you'll know more about the CRAB checker as you look at the scholarly section, scholarly research section in your student handbooks. So you have to make sure that you are looking at reliable sources like articles. You can find websites that are scholarly. There are journals out there, peer-reviewed journals. There are government.edu.gov websites that are also very credible for you to use. And when you look up the credibility, reliability, accuracy, and bias factor of each one, you're going to be filling up an article tag for every single article you find in your research. Now, do you have to look at articles and websites only? No. You could also look at interviews. You could look at documentaries and videos. You can even look at podcasts, which are radio news shows or radio story shows, okay? So we have documentaries. There's so many different places you can find amazing resources online. You can even look at a book. You could look at primary sources, like on the Library of Congress website. Throughout your scholarly research, you're going to find something that you really do care about a lot. That's going to be your conflict that you're going to be researching in depth, right? As you do your scholarly research, you're going to, at some point, maybe in the beginning, maybe in the middle, maybe towards the end, you're going to come up with your foundational research question. This is called the driving question. It's called the driving question because it drives your entire research from the beginning to all the way to the end. All your research and information that you're going to be exploring and finding and putting on your board and presenting to people who come to the GATE Symposium event, all of that research is going to be fueled and driven by the driving question. It is the most important question of your entire project. In fact, on your Trifold board, it's going to be the biggest thing, and it has to be really well thought out and designed so that it just shows off to the rest of the community and to everybody in the gym what your research was all about. So that's the driving question. And don't worry, there's an entire video and a whole section in the handbook that's all about that driving question. All right? So that's going to be your next step. What is the driving question? At some point during your scholarly research, you're going to come up with the driving question. In fact, we're going to have a special frozen treat party after school on the 4th week, and the only way you can get a frozen treat is by showing us your driving question. So you want to make sure you get those driving questions in on time so you can enjoy our frozen treat party. That's the driving question. It is very, very, very important. All right, so I'm just going to give a quick overview, but a driving question for a level 1 student is going to have a conflict word and the topic. And obviously, since it's a question, it has to be a question mark at the end, right? And a level 2 student is going to have the same things, a conflict word, a topic, plus a gate icon or imperative. And obviously, it has to be in the form of a question. All right? What I mean by conflict word is, in the booklet, in the driving question section, there's an entire list of words you can use instead of the word conflict. Because sometimes conflict doesn't fit in the context or the situation that you are researching. Sometimes it's better to use words like challenge, controversy, opposition, dilemma, discrepancy. There's so many other beautiful English words that mean conflict, but so you don't really have to use conflict in your question. But it has to be surrounding conflict, since that is the main basis. That's our universal theme this year. We're really working with conflict, okay? All right, so now that you have your driving question, could you still continue your scholarly research? Absolutely. You can keep working on your scholarly research. In fact, you can find articles all the way to the end. We have students who start off with maybe 5 articles, and by the time they're done, they have like 15 articles because they were so interested. But remember, there needs to be a time when you do all your scholarly research, but you have to still move on to the next stage. You really want to focus on getting those deadlines met, because in a project-based learning situation, it's very easy to get caught up on one thing, and all of a sudden the deadline is approaching and you have to procrastinate at the end and you're not going to do a great job. So you want to make sure you look at the schedule, you look at the mentorship log, you look at all of the due dates, and you try your very best to be on time. All right? So now that you have the driving question, you're going to do the student-led research, okay? So this is after scholarly research. Student-led research is completely led by you, the student. So I'm going to call it the SLR, okay? This is called student-led research. For the student-led research, you have 4 options. You can do a survey. You can do an interview of an expert. You can do an experiment. Or you can do an observation. And there's a video on the student-led research, and there's also a whole section in the book that discusses every single one of your options in great detail. I said options because you only do one of these options, or at least one, okay? But we want everyone to just do one. So you only choose one of these. All right? Now that you have all your research done, you have your student-led research done, you have your driving question, the next thing is, okay, we have all this data, we have all this information, we have all this amazing textual evidence, we have these timelines, these statistics, these graphs, we have so many amazing things. What do we do with it? How do we get all this information and stick it together and put it on the board? Well, you got to stick it together. You got to synthesize. Synthesize is to make something new by combining different things and making a new idea. All right? So this is called the information synthesis document. This is the biggest, most challenging task of the entire process, the ISD. There's an entire chapter about the ISD. It's very, very long. It's like 30 pages. And there's also a video about the ISD. To provide you with extra support, we have sentence starters. We have templates on Google Slides, on Google Docs, where all you have to do is type into the boxes. We have tips and advice for every single icon and generalization. There's so many things out there for you to use. So don't worry and don't be scared or stressed out. Remember, a challenge is always good for you. So we have the opportunity to put all of this together in something called the ISD, the Information Synthesis Document. Okay, I'm going to call it the ISD. So now when we discuss the ISD, you guys know what I'm talking about. For the ISD, you're putting all these things together, everything that you've been working on so far, right? These include your information from the scholarly research and your student-led research, okay? So how are you going to organize your information? Scholarly plus SLR, okay? Scholarly research plus student-led research. The way that you do this is by two ways. You're going to put your generalizations, which are the bullet points underneath the conflict universal theme. You're going to use that as headings or ways to organize your thoughts and ideas. For example, the 5 generalizations under conflict are: conflict is composed of opposing forces, conflict may be natural or man-made, conflict may be intentional or unintentional, conflict may allow for synthesis and change, and conflict is progressive. As a level 1 student, you only have to pick 2 of the generalizations. If you're a level 2 student, you have to do all 5, all right? So you're only choosing 2 of those generalizations under conflict. So you're going to organize all your findings and information under 2 of those generalizations, those subheadings about the universal theme of conflict. So you need your generalizations. And because this is called GATE Symposium, because we use GATE strategies, resources, and tools, we're going to use GATE icons, GATE depth and complexity icons, and content imperatives. Now, on your ISD, you don't just want to have your GATE icons and your generalizations. You also want to include other things too. There are 2 specific things that every single group is going to have. Actually, 3, okay? One of the things I forgot to mention with your icons is everyone's going to need a language of the discipline box or heading in their ISD and on their Trifold board, because obviously you have to define your conflict. If you're doing deportation, immigration, you're doing the DREAM Act, you're doing, what are some other topics? You're doing global warming. You have to define what that is. I know people know what those things are, but you have to look at expert opinions, find multiple perspectives, find the actual language that experts are using to define those laws, those ideas, those conflicts, and you have to include the definition on your board, all right? Because that's building background information and accurate context for any viewer. It's a great way of communicating your ideas. Always define the conflict first. So you're going to have that, but the main 2 things that you need on your ISD, including all your information that's going to be, put into all of these different boxes with like your bullet points of information, okay? So like this could be like generalization 2 with like bullet points of information, spelled correctly, good grammar, good spelling, complete sentences, please. All right? Maybe you have like a paragraph about ethics, right? And then you have all your information so that you can print all this out and glue it on your board eventually. This is all on your ISD, but you need 2 more things. You need something called the big idea chart, which we're going to be, actually it's called the really big idea chart, which we give you a template for. So this is called the really big idea chart. This helps us understand which generalizations you chose, okay? And another thing you need is, in your information synthesis, is a relevant resolutions map, which looks like this. It has like a diamond right here, okay? And it has your resolution that you decide on, and then it has different stages in the dialogue between side B and side A, or the side for or against, or the food industry and the food consumers. The 2 groups that are arguing against each other with the conflict, the 2 opposing sides of the conflict, all right, they're going to be coming together into one section, which is called the resolution. You have to have this relevant resolutions map. If you don't have it, then how can you call it a relevant resolutions project, right? This is a requirement. So this is called the relevant resolutions map. Phew, so I told you guys, the information synthesis doc is a very challenging, big task. This is pretty amazing though. What you're going to be doing as 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, can you believe it? What you're going to be doing is basically writing a really amazing research paper. And these are the tools in which you're going to be able to do that, to find a relevant resolution to something that is that exists in the world, something that is a problem or a dilemma that we want to fix, all right? The next thing you're going to do is you're going to have all of this checked by your mentor teacher, your primary mentor teacher. When they give you the go-ahead, you're going to push print and take it from the printer. We have a colored printer for our GATE department here, which is awesome. So if you need to print some things in color, like pictures or statistics, data charts and pie charts and things like that, you can always print it in color as well at Mendez. So just come on to Ms. Park's classroom and she'll help you with that. So what you're going to do is you're going to click print, but remember you have to get it approved. You don't want to print things that are not approved, okay? After you print it, you're going to border it with a construction paper color that matches your topic. So for example, if you do something on war and violence, I wouldn't use calm, happy, and soothing colors. I would use colors that remind you of war or violence, like black or red. Or if it's about the military, like hunter green or black or brown, things like that. So you want to make sure that your entire board, it matches together. Which leads me to the next part. So after you border all of your things that you printed out from your ISD and you're ready to glue them on the board, don't glue it on the board yet. Your board has to be completely designed. The background is basically like a backdrop or a stage in which to put your information. So you can use paint, charcoal, pastel, mixed media, all kinds of things to make your board really stand out. So the board itself is very artistic and creative. So you're going to go on to the creativity section, which is the really fun part. A lot of students love this aspect of GATE Symposium, right? Remember GATE Symposium, the symbol of GATE Symposium is the diamond. Mrs. Romeo, who created GATE Symposium, she invented it. She chose a diamond because she said diamonds are multifaceted. They have many dimensions. They're brilliant like you, and they have different facets, right? So one of those sides of the diamond is the creativity part, which allows a lot of you guys to shine brightly because creativity is so fun and it requires a different part of your brain than you use for this other stuff, right? So in the creativity section, you're doing two things. You're doing the trifold board. Make sure that trifold board is beautifully painted. Make sure it matches your theme, your conflict, your driving question, and your resolution, that everything fits together, that there's not a random curly thing there, there's not peeling off edges, there's not glitter where there's not supposed to be glitter. So if you're doing a very somber, serious project, you don't want to put like cutesy little fluff balls and glitter on it, right? Just because it looks cute. You want to make sure everything matches your concept. It all needs to come together. You're creating a thematic stage. This is like a big stage, and you want to make sure that your actors and key players, your information, shine brightly on your stage. So make that stage match your information, okay? So the trifold board is that, and then you have to make sure it's very creative and creatively designed. And then you're going to have a supplemental creative piece. This is an additional art piece, which means that you can do a sculpture, you can do an interaction, like an interactive element, like a game. You could do a video. You can do even a performance, like a skit. You can do so many different things. You can even do, like, we've had people do photo booths, not just a photo booth just for the sake of taking a picture, but because the act of going in the booth and seeing the words and interacting with it has some multiple layers of meaning that match their main ideas, okay? So we want to make sure that we get all of this approved. That's why you have primary mentors, because they're supposed to know every step of the way, since they're there to support you and to facilitate you. This is a partnership between you and your brains and your mentor teacher, and them kind of guiding you and nudging you along, making sure that you don't get off track, but also allowing you to have the freedom to kind of mark your own path, okay? So we have that creativity aspect. And finally, after you're done with your board and you lay it all out, don't glue it yet, you gotta lay it all out, because if you glue it already, then what happens is that you might run out of space, and then you have to peel things off and all your hard work gets ruined. So trust me, guys, I've seen this for several years now. You don't wanna glue it until you lay it all out, okay? Then you're gonna glue it, and then on the video about how to turn it in, you're gonna make sure you get your mentors, pre-submission evaluation form, which means that you have to have all 3s or 4s on that form in order to submit it to the GATE coordinator, who is me. And you also need to make sure you have your works cited page, and you also have to make sure that you have your board tag. Okay? If you have these 3 things done, then what you do is you are ready to submit. So then you submit it to Ms. Park. Okay? And you're submitting it by March 2nd, due date. And it's not over. After you submit it by March 2nd, because our event is March 14th, so it's 12 days later, you have that week and maybe 1 day to really focus on your oral presentation, which is a completely important, an additional element of this project. Your project is just as good as you are as you present it. You can't just have a beautiful project and stand there and say nothing. It's the oral presentation that really makes you shine, all right? So there's an entire oral presentation aspect to it as well. And we're going to be working on that section. It's another video as well, and it's also a whole chapter. It's chapter 11 in your student handbooks, which is here. So you have to master that oral presentation, whether it's getting peer evaluations, mentor walkthroughs, making your 15 note cards, preparing, making sure you memorize your facts, not standing in front of your board and reading it off, but looking directly at the audience members and being passionate and confident in what you're saying. We're going to spend an entire week on that. So it's very important that you get all of this stuff, especially your mentor's evaluation, because you remember you can only turn it in if you have 3s and 4s on that form. You want to get all this stuff done ahead of time. Do not wait to the last minute. Unfortunately, because this is a it's a very rigorous, high stakes kind of event, we only allow students who are approved. In the real world, this happens too. Not everyone gets to get everything in the real world, right? You have to compete, you have to earn your spot, you have to work hard. So if you work hard, you earn your spot, then you can be at Symposium. And the only way to do that is to follow through with all the deadlines, to get your mentor to help you along the way, and to be proud of your work. Because you want to stand in that gym and own your space. You want to say, man, I am so proud of my work. I worked really hard on everything that's on my board. I know all my information inside and out. I'm so happy to be standing here. And trust me, guys, you're going to feel so proud of yourself, and you're going to build a lot of amazing memories with your group members and your classmates and your teachers and at this school. So we're so excited for you because we're just getting started. And let's just make this Relevant Resolutions GATE Symposium the best symposium yet. All right? Thank you, guys. Hi, students. This part is all about your student booklet. I'm going to go over it pretty quickly, so make sure you go over it more in depth with your teacher, with your primary mentor, and at home on your own. So this is the student booklet this year. We have our first page here, and we would like you to definitely write your name, grade, partners' names, your mentor, teachers, their room numbers, just in case your book gets lost so it gets sent to the correct place. And we will also be providing passwords for the liftedgifted.org website, where you can find a digital copy of this booklet just in case you're at home and you left it at school or vice versa. And then, very important, please make sure you get this page signed by your parent. Make sure you let them know that you cannot have anything planned for March 14th between 5 to 7 p.m. because you need to be at this event and you want your parents to attend as well. Invite your friends and family. Make sure that they sign this. It's in Spanish and English. They only have to sign one. This part is all about what Symposium is about, our wonderful 5 generalizations under conflict. Then we have our table of contents. There are 11 chapters in this book. The first chapter is calendars and mentorship. We put all of your due dates on 2 pages. We put them in the weekly at a glance here. So we have weeks 1 through all the way to week 10. Notice that during week 9, on actually week 8, on March 2nd, your projects are due, right? And then the day of Symposium is March 14th, right here. So this is a 10-week experience. It's going to be a lot of fun and a lot of work. Moving on is just another timeline of all of the things you're going to be doing over the course of the 10 weeks. And this is a very important mentorship page where you have all your mentors here. So let's say that you want to stay after school to work on a project with your group members, but your teacher, let's say it's Miss Park, me, I don't have mentorship maybe on Fridays, right? So what do? Well, look at here. It says Miss Salas has mentorship from 2:45 to 4:45 on Friday, so you can go to her classroom. You'll also notice that there are some teachers who don't mentor after school because they cannot, but that's totally fine because we have lots of teachers who only mentor after school. For example, Miss Kemp and Miss Kachua students can also go to Miss Moreno or Miss Nguyen, the 6th grade math teacher, to get help. So there's a lot of different options out there. And Mr. Torres is an excellent mentor, so he can also help anybody who needs help. And obviously, you're always welcome to come by my classroom to get help as well and mentorship. So just because someone's not your primary mentor doesn't mean that they can't help you, right? So you have lots of places and spaces to go. Just like when you do a group project and you might all meet up at someone's house, you're basically meeting up but in someone's classroom. So we want to make sure most of this project is done at school and not at home because we want you to be the ones who do the project, right? Not extra. You don't want to get extra help from like parents or older siblings unless it's for the supplemental creative piece. You want to do most of the research and thinking and writing on your own with your group members. Okay, here's the next section that's super important. This is a mentorship log, and your teacher is going to use this to give you points. You want to make sure you meet with your mentor at least twice a week during class or after school. In the beginning, it's okay to meet them maybe once or twice, but towards the end, you got to meet them like minimum 2 times. When you get their initials, make sure you write down what you learned about. Please don't just say, we talked, okay? Be more specific. You can use bullet points. You can be very brief, write the date. We also have checklists right here, as you can see. So there's different things that correspond with the calendar, which I showed you above right here. So those checklists correspond. Make sure you get those things checked off. Here are all the weeks, all the way until week 10. And now we're on chapter 2, which is an overview, which is basically what this video is all about, okay? There's some frequently asked questions. There's this difference between level 1 and level 2. Notice that the biggest difference is in the number of articles. Level 1 is doing 3 to 5, level 2 is doing 9 to 12. The type of driving question is a lot simpler for level 1, and it's a lot harder for level 2. We have to only do 2 or 3 generalizations versus 5. 4 gate icons or imperatives for level 1 and 6 or more for level 2. And also level 2 students, you have to do other things. Like you have to have a website and you have to have a parallels component as well. And the due dates are different too. If you're a level 2 student, yours is going to be due 1 day before because that's too many people trying to turn it in at the same time. And then level 1 students are going to turn it in on March 2nd. Then we have a checklist of everything you need to do for this project. Let me just make it easier for you to read, okay? So we have level 1 checklist, then we have a picture of level 1 projects, like of everything you're going to be putting on that project. The same is true with level 2. You can look at it on your own. You have to reflect on your learning by writing in your reflections. There's 5 reflections. The 5th one is done at the very end after Symposium is over. And the due dates for the reflections are embedded in your calendar, so make sure you look at that calendar. What if your teacher has Canvas or Google Classroom and doesn't want you to write it on paper? Easy stuff. All you got to do is click on that or actually go to that URL by typing it into your browser, https://goo.gl/lowercase j 5 uppercase U 7F R. And if you click on that, if you use that URL, make sure you do all the uppercase and lowercase correctly. Then you should be able to access a copy template where you can basically copy the template and save it into your drive so you can directly write into the reflection. Pretty cool stuff. In fact, you're going to see a lot of those templates throughout this book so that it makes it easier for you to make things digitally or have electronic documents. All right, let's go to chapter 3, all your resources. So like I just said, there's a bunch of templates for you to use, okay? For example, your really big idea and your relevant resolutions map that you're going to be putting in your ISD and on your board eventually, those are all templates. So all you got to do is click on it, save it, and write directly in the boxes and print it out. You're ready to go. You don't have to waste any time making those boxes or designing things because that takes a lot of time away from the important stuff, which is writing the meat of your research, right? So you'll find out more about these things as you look at the specific videos that are about these components. The next is the universal themes. Like I told you several times by now, you have to work on conflict, and those are your 5 generalizations. Level 1, you only do 2 or 3. Level 2, you do all 5 of them. Then we have the new gate icons, the old gate icons, the imperatives, and we have sentence starters. For those of you guys who want those sentence starters, we made them for you. They are here. All right. And we also have an extra copy of the article tag as well as a completed article tag example. And finally, we are on Chapter 4, Exploration. This is the pre-packet exploration packet that a lot of you guys got before you even got the handbook. So it basically helps you go through all the different steps for finding a conflict topic. And then it's about how to learn about your topic. If you click on this link right here, or if you go on it on your browser, you can actually find this exact page and click on the actual links to look up articles that will help you on your scholarly research journey. So that's all the same thing, and then it ends with some more article tags, and then it goes to the crab checker, which is about credibility, reliability, accuracy, and bias. And finally, we're not finally there, but we're halfway through. We're on Chapter 5, which is all about exploring the driving question. It has the formula for the driving question for Level 1 students, the formula for the driving question for Level 2 students. Remember, watch the videos to have more specific directions. I'm just going to go over this very quickly. It has your really big idea chart, which is also a template that you just type into and print out. Make sure you get everything checked first. And then you have Chapter 6, the student-led research, which is the survey, the interview, observation, or experiment. You only have to choose one, and you have to complete that. So that section is here. It gives you examples at the end. It gives you some tips and tricks, your proposal form, all of that. Now we are on Chapter 7, Exploring Resolutions. This is the relevant resolutions map that is also supposed to be on the board, which I talked about earlier. And this is also a template, so if you go to this website, you will be able to find the exact template, type right into the boxes, get it checked, print it out, and you're ready to put it on your board. It has directions, it has resolution words, it has everything you need, including an example. And because the example is so teeny tiny small right there, I decided that I wanted to give you guys a bigger, enlarged version right there. So there we go. Next is the biggest, longest chapter ever. Chapter 8. This is the big step that requires you to really think critically, synthesize your findings, and write. Okay? So we have two templates here for you. We have one on the docs and one on slides. All you got to do is click on it and type right in. Put in all your information, your textual evidence, your subheadings, your SLR results, your generalizations, your gate icons, your relevant resolutions map, your everything. This is called the ISD, the Information Synthesis Document. So it goes through every single thing. If you don't know what a generalization is, don't worry. Look on page 97. It explains every single generalization so you know what it means. If you don't know what the icons are, don't worry. Go to page 99 through like 100 something, and it gives you every single icon and imperative, including sentence starters, and information about what every single one is about. Phew! And finally, at the end, we have a real example from last year of a student who did a project on a conflict within the food industry and the economy and Americans' health. And we have Jasmine Lopez who did this amazing project. This is her ISD from last year. So you can see an example of a completed ISD. So she was able to print that out, glue it on construction paper, then glue that on her board that was already decorated. Okay, so we have creativity. I talked about how the creativity part is a very big aspect of this project. It's one of the facets of that diamond. Here's some examples. This entire section, make sure you read every word. There's a lot of helpful tips and tricks in here, okay? There's examples here. There's supplemental creative piece examples. That's an additional piece in addition to your Trifold board, all right? Your Trifold board is not the only thing you're making. You're making an additional art piece. You can make a sculpture, a mural. You can make, you can do a skit. You can do a performance, whatever you want. Then we have some design proposals. We gave you 3 copies just in case you mess up. We have the creative supplemental piece proposals. We gave you 3 copies just in case you mess up again. And we also have the Chapter 10 Trifold What Goes On It. On the front of your Trifold, it gives you a whole checklist of everything you need, and most importantly, on the back, we have the pre-submission mentors evaluation form, your board tag, and your works cited page. This is what the mentors evaluation form looks like. If you have 3s and 4s, then you can submit to Ms. Park by March 2nd. If you don't have 3s and 4s, you're not ready to submit. You can't submit your project. So you want to make sure your teacher checks your project way before March 2nd. So you have several days to fix it so that you can get 3s and 4s before you submit it. Here's the board tag, your works cited page example. Finally, turn in your board, how, and then this is the congratulations paper that you will get if you get accepted. If you don't get accepted, you might get an extra chance, a couple more days to fix your board yet again. And then the last chapter of this student booklet is chapter 11, Exploration Through Performance, the oral presentation, which is not an afterthought. It is a major component of your entire project. Don't think that when you're done with the trifold, you're done. You are not done. You are only like 80% there, okay? A huge part of the project is how well, how beautifully, how confidently you explain your findings. How do you present your findings? This is how you do it. We're going to be doing walkthrough mentorships. You can ask any adult, any teacher, any tutor, even the administrators to do a quick evaluation. So you can practice your speech, your evaluation, your presentation with your group members in front of an adult and have them check it and give you a score. You can also make note cards, or actually you should. It's a requirement. You have to have 10 to 15 note cards. There's a direction sheet on that and a Symposium peer evaluation. You're going to be able to evaluate each other. Okay, you can grade each other. You should grade harshly so that you can, through constructive criticism, you guys can improve your presentations and make them amazing. So those are the peer evaluation documents. And now we have preparing for the oral presentation, some things on what to wear, speaking and conversing, etc., etc. And finally, guys, make sure you buy your shirts. All proceeds from the shirts pay the t-shirt company and buy the amazing medals and trophies that you definitely want to have during the award ceremony at the end of the school year. So if you want to buy a t-shirt, make sure you give $10 to Miss Park with this filled out with your size. And students, that is the end of the overview of the student handbook. If you have any questions, ask your amazing mentor, and you can also stop by my classroom to ask me any questions you have about this project as well. All right, thanks Mustangs. See you next time.